What's going on, people? It's your boy Ace Boogie of New Stripe City. I wanted to come back with another rebuild video because I did the last one with Joe Burrow and you guys really enjoyed that. So I decided to come back with another one. And in this video, I'm essentially gonna kind of make these free agent signings and do what I think that the Bengals should do in terms of this next year. So as you can see on the screen right now, I've made several kind of free agent decisions to sign a lot of guys in. So this is just kind of recapping my signings here. Now before this, I kind of traded Andy Dalton, I traded Cordy Glenn, the things that you've seen me do in that last video. If you haven't checked that last video, be sure to check it out. But in this video, I'm going to start with a scenario that a lot of Bengals fans have kind of pushed for, and that's with taking Chase Young with the #1 pick and then going back in the second round drafting Jalen Hertz. So what I did here is I actually set this draft order to reflect the actual first round. So Miami has multiple picks. This was as of I believe heading into week 13. So some things have changed slightly since this video was put together, but that will be the plan going forward, is that we will also make sure to make this more realistic by having the actual draft order. So Chase Young comes out as an 80. That's not surprising. Obviously, he has been pretty good. It looks like Jalen Hurts is kind of in that Mel Kiper range. He was expected to be a fifth rounder. Comes out as a 67 overall. So the way that this started off was just like, damn, like Jalen Hurts isn't really what we expected at that second round pick. But one thing that you have to remember is Lamar Jackson started that way as well. So in the third round, I still had to get some lineman help. I signed some linemen in free agency. Also needed to make sure that we kind of shored up some other positions. So I went ahead and did that, and then like at the end of the draft, we kind of have several different players taken here. Took some corners, took some lineman depth, took a receiver, took some linebackers. So another thing that we did was that we also signed some linebackers in free agency, and also I believe traded for some. So right now, I just wanted to go through and sim the season, and surprisingly we ended up going 10-6, believe it or not. So that was kind of a shock to me, because for us to go 10-6 based off of this draft, I really didn't expect that, especially with Jalen Hurts starting as a 67 overall. But as you can see, Jalen Hurts had a hell of a year. 3,988 yards, 40 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Just had an amazing year, really, overall. So that was kind of surprising to me, being that he was only a 67 overall player. So he's got a completion percentage of about 70%, was very fluid at the quarterback position. So let's take a look at rushing. Mixon ran for 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. On the receiving aspect, Tyler Boyd and A.J. Green both had 1,000-yard seasons, 11 touchdowns. So things worked out pretty well. On defense, we signed Darren Lee in the offseason. He had 100 tackles. Mackenzie Alexander, 100 tackles. Looks like Chase Young had 7 sacks. Carl Lawson, 6.5. We ended up trading Dunlap as well for a pick to the Raiders. So looks like Chase Young had a decent year, but we expected him to have some double-digit sacks there. But it looks like Jalen Hurts was actually the star of this season, believe it or not, surprisingly. So we're going to go ahead here and move on to our next spot in this franchise. If I didn't mention it before, Hurts also ran for 3 touchdowns, so 43 total touchdowns for Hurts. I believe he ran for about 200 yards. Not a surprise that he ends up being our offensive rookie of the year here at 10-6. Joe Burrow is second, Jake Fromm, Justin Herbert. So not too many surprises there. Defensive rookie of the year, unfortunately, was not won by Chase Young. So kind of surprising. He was like the 7th guy. So not what we expected from Chase Young. It seems like it would have been kind of flip-flopped there. But here is our roster. So over the progression of this season, Hurts moved up to a 74. We've got some key guys on defense. Chase Young moved up to an 84. So things are looking pretty solid. Will Parks, another guy we signed in free agency at safety, is a 79. William Jackson up. Our linebackers are a lot better. We traded for Gerard Davis. Pratt has moved up. So this defense overall has performed very well. Let's just take a look at some of these games that we have, and we're going to go ahead and get into the playoffs. And what I'm going to do now is we're just going to sim the rest of the playoffs to see how far we get. Now, obviously, with the Joe Burrow draft rebuild that we did not make the playoffs. So we did in this one. So I want to do some super sim here to kind of give you guys some footage of what exactly is going to transpire in some of these games. So we're taking on the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round. So with us going 10-6, we actually had a bye, so we didn't have to play in the wild card. And so things start off here, and it's very interesting. I'm just going to pick up here with it being in the fourth quarter. 17-17, Bengals force overtime, and essentially they're trying to win at home and see if they can take this back. So for some reason it seems like the Bills got Derrick Henry, must have been in free agency some kind of way, but nobody has scored. The Bengals get the ball back. They're going. Jalen Hertz is driving down the field, and believe it or not, it looks like the Bengals are going to get their first playoff win in I don't know how many years, 20 or 30 years or whatever, but the Bengals end up winning in overtime. So with this Jalen Hurts build, the Bengals are on their way to the next round. So Hurts obviously out here doing his thing, is going very well so far. I'm not sure how realistic this is. It seems somewhat realistic because Hertz came in as a 67, moved up and progressed. That could possibly happen. Would the Bengals win a playoff game? I'm not sure, but the stats are 366 total passing yards, 168 ground yards on the ground. This could be the guy that's key. So Hertz, 32 of 38, 366 yards. He also had 49 yards and a rushing touchdown. Mixon ran for basically 100 yards. Tyler Boyd had a big game. A.J. Green, John Ross. So a well-distributed game on defense. Looks like Pratt led in tackles. Chase Young had 2 sacks in this game, so that could have been an X factor here as well. So the Bengals are going to go ahead and win their first playoff game. Hertz also had a passing touchdown. So the Bengals now are going to be taking on the Houston Texans. They got a lead on them right now. Deshaun Watson ends up taking the lead late. And so the Houston Texans are now up 23-20. The Bengals are going to get the ball back with 23 seconds. Hertz is going to hit Joe Mixon for a 19-yard reception. Then A.J. Green, he's at the 50. Gets a pass for 22 yards to Drew Sample, and they're going to be able to kick a 43-yard field goal to force overtime. So Randy Bullock is going to kick off, and this is where the Bengals defense just is going to do their thing and step it up here, because surprisingly what happens is Will Parks gets an interception on Deshaun Watson, and that is all she wrote, folks, because the Bengals are going to be able to go ahead and win this with the sudden death, and the Bengals are headed to the Super Bowl. This is crazy. So in the AFC Championship, the Bengals have won 29-23. They're heading in to the Super Bowl. So Chase Young has a good game. Jalen Hurts has a good game. They kind of started out slow a little bit. They catch up at the end. I know you guys didn't see that part because it wasn't shown, but 236 passing yards, 118 rushing yards. I'm telling you guys, I'm not touching any of this. This was all super sim. It just was too long for me to show you guys. I didn't want to make the video too long. Jalen Hurts, 3 touchdowns, 236 yards. Gets 45 yards rushing. Mixon rushes for 66 yards on 18 attempts. So not a great day for Mixon, but And not a really a great day for the receivers, but John Ross was big in this game. AJ Green caught a touchdown. Drew Sample caught a touchdown. Defensively, Mackenzie Alexander had 14 tackles, 1 sack by Geno Atkins. So 1 sack for the whole game, 2 interceptions. Will Parks had that clutch interception. There was also another one. So let's just look at the progression here. So Hertz is moving up to an 83. Mixon is at an 88. Blythe is playing left tackle. Ifedi is a right tackle. So the line isn't even amazing. They're really just kind of average in a sense. And on defense, Pratt has moved up to an 81. Things have really remained the same. Mackenzie Alexander has come on, but, nothing really crazy. Like Jesse Bates is at 83 now. There's not really, I just don't know what it is about this team, but they seem to be doing something special. So, Tyler Boyd's up to an 89, AJ Green 88. So, we'll see what happens here. So, we're going to the Super Bowl and we're playing against the Chicago Bears. So, your Cincinnati Bengals in 1 year and one rebuild, based off of moves that I made in free agency trades and stuff like that. A year later, they are having a Cinderella story and they are heading to the Super Bowl. So it kicks off in Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, and you guys know I had to put on the color rush joints, right? Chase Young, or not Chase Young, but Jalen Hertz is going to lead them out of the tunnel. This has just been a crazy year for the Bengals. Now I don't know if they would just go to the Super Bowl based off of these two picks, but we'll have to see because obviously this isn't realistic with Mitchell Trubisky getting the Bears to the Super Bowl and winning MVP. That's just, this is Madden. But we tried to make this a realistic rebuild. We're getting here. Zach Taylor's got these guys ready. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Hertz is the guy, and we're going to kick off with the Super Bowl. That's how we're going to end this video. So as you guys can see, fully doing the Super Sim here. It's moving fast. You're not really going to be able to keep up with it, but I will slow it down in key moments. But as you can see right now, what's happening is the Bengals are, struggling. If I'm not mistaken, Jalen Hertz has thrown about 2 or 3 interceptions. So they haven't been able to do anything, but luckily they haven't allowed that much to the Bears. Bears are up by 10-0 at this point. Carl Lawson gets a sack, and they're forcing certain things to happen, but they just can't get points on the board. And now the Bears are actually up 17-0 in the first quarter. So not looking good for the Bengals to end this first quarter. They're going to move on to the second quarter. So it's not far-fetched that the Bears can go to the Super Bowl. Just not with Mitch Trubisky, I think, is what I was trying to say earlier. So now it's the second quarter, and the Bengals still haven't really been able to do anything, but they've got to get some points here before the half. So they're actually able to score a touchdown right before the half to get it to be 17-7 here. So that's going to start the second half. Bengals are going to get the ball, and they're going to try to start making some moves here. So Joe Mixon is making a run. Jalen Hurts is running. Back to Joe Mixon. He's sacked by Khalil Mack. They got a 3rd and 11, but they are able to get a field goal. So now it's 17-10. Bears still lead the way. Bears on their first possession of the second half don't really seem like they're really getting anywhere. So they're going to go ahead and pump back to the Bengals. Bengals are down by 1 point. They can actually come back here. It's not too far-fetched that they could win. So this is a chance for them to get back. They can't do anything with it. The Bears are going to be able to get a field goal. So it's a 10-point game as the third quarter winds down. So the Bengals have 1 quarter to do what they can to come back. Not looking good for them right now. 20-10, 5 minutes left here. So Jalen Hurts is going to lead them to another field goal. So it's a 1-score game, 13-20. Geno Atkins has a big sack there. Mitchell Trubisky is still able to get past it there. They're still moving. There's a big drop there, 6-yard rush, 3-yard reception. But they're not able to do anything. They miss a field goal. This is huge. The Bengals have the ball at midfield. AJ Green makes a catch. Giovanni Bernard gets it there. Big penalty. Gio gets in for the touchdown. The Bengals are going to tie this game up, believe it or not. But then what happens is there's a kick return by the Bears for a touchdown. So Bengals have the ball again. They're trying to drive here with 2 minutes left to try to tie this game and force overtime and do something that they can do to try to win this game. So they're going to go ahead and score on a Tyler Boyd touchdown. The game is 27-27, but the Bears still have about a minute and some change, and somehow the Bears do not score on that. The Bengals get the ball to start overtime. They're going to try to drive here. Tyler Boyd is going to make a play there. First down. Tyler Boyd is just on fire in this game. I don't know if you guys are seeing this on the screen, but it's a lot of Tyler Boyd, and it looks like the Bengals are going to get into the red zone here. They're still going, and the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. They score a touchdown first here. The Cincinnati Bengals, after drafting Jalen Hertz and Chase Young. The confetti is on the field. This is the first time that I've done this where this has happened. I did not go into this expecting that the Bengals were going to have a winning season. Not only do they have a winning season, Jalen Hurts has a historic season, it seems like, for a rookie, and then they go off and they win the Super Bowl. Like, Chase Young was decent. He was okay, but this just seems to have unlocked everything. Tyler Boyd is your MVP. 12 receptions, 178 yards. I told you that boy was balling. Wow. If this is what it could potentially be, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure. But you see it right here, man. They won a Super Bowl. I didn't trade for any crazy players that were in the 90s. I did a lot of things that people said that we should, which was trading away Andy Dalton, getting mid-round picks for them, trading away Carlos Dunlap, drafting these guys, just signing some very minimum solid guys and trading around and getting some younger guys. Jalen Hurts, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Joe Mixon, 83 rushing yards here, no touchdown. Gio gets a touchdown, though, makes his impact felt. Tyler Boyd with the 178. Drew Sample with 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quiet game from A.J. Green and John Ross. On defense, Darren Lee with 8 tackles, William Jackson with 7. You look at the sacks here, Carl Lawson, Geno Atkins, Deion Jordan, and Darren Lee with half sacks. So no sacks from Chase Young, but the Bengals are going to go ahead and win this one. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Definitely like and subscribe, and I'll keep doing these scenarios going forward. And as usual, I'll leave you with a who day all day, every day, and especially on Sunday.